I'd like to open the closed session meeting today, February 23rd, 2026. The time is 5 o'clock. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Woolsey.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Beaver.
Here.
Mayor Venable.
Here.
Absent from tonight's meeting is Councilmember Thorpe.
All right. Is there any public comments?
No comments tonight.
All right. So then we'll move to the closed session. Time is 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
You guys ready? You ready? I got a special one tonight. So can you come on up? I'm giving up my chair. Sit right here. And you're gonna read. What do I read? Yeah, you read. Open regular city council meeting.
I read this.
Yep.
Open the regular city council successor agency housing authority meeting of February 23rd, 2026 and announce the time. 6.
That's it. All right. All right. Dang, I'm gonna lose my job here in a minute.
It's our future mayor right there.
It is. All right. Now we'll do the evocation or invocation. I'm sorry, with Pastor Dave and let's see, is Grayson in the house? Grayson, after the prayer, can you lead us into Pledge of Allegiance? All right, here we go.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, that Yucaipa brings prayer to this city, Father God. Thank you for all that you do, Lord, and let these decisions that are made today, Father, be of you. We thank you and we glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
Excuse me. All right. That was great. Okay. Anna, can you call roll call?
Councilmember Miller,
Here.
Councilmember Woolsey,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Beaver,
Here.
Mayor Venable.
Here.
Absent from tonight's meeting is Councilmember Thorpe with an excused absence.
All right. City Attorney, is there anything to
Yes,
report out?
Council. The council authorized me to report out a closed session that for the property located at 36800 Oak Glen Road, the city will be filing a notice of default. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have the recognition of the Yucaipa photo contest winners.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Emma Hartgrove, and I serve as the city's marketing coordinator. I'm very excited to be here tonight to present the winners of the 2025 You Capture Yucaipa photo contest, an initiative that continues to be one of my favorite ways to celebrate Yucaipa through the lens of those who know it best, our community members. This year, the contest received a record-breaking 132 photo submissions across 3 categories: animals, scenery, and your community. Each capture beautifully reflects what makes Yucaipa special, from our scenic landscapes and local wildlife to meaningful community life. The creativity and quality of entries made the selection process both exciting and very challenging. Ultimately, 12 winners were selected, 3 place winners and 1 honorable mention in each category, along with 1 overall grand prize winner. All recognized photographers will receive a certificate of recognition, and I ask that each photographer called please come up to the podium to receive your certificate and prize, and stick around as a group photo of all the winners will be taken with City Council following award presentation. The entries selected for honorable mention are, from the animals category, Audra Rain for her photo of the horse titled Sweetwater Ranch. From the scenery category, Matt Dunn for his photo of Yucaipa Regional Park in the fall. And for your community, John Hansen's capture of his wife at the 2025 Turkey Trot. Our third place winners, taking home a $20 gift card to Landmark Coffee Roasters, are, from the animals category, Tracy Reyes for her photo, Great Egret's Catch. From scenery, Maddox Dixon for his photo of yellow flowers at El Dorado Ranch. Your community, Ethan Lindstrom for Autumn Heights, his capture of the Pumpkin Patches Ferris wheel. The second place winners, taking home a $30 gift card to Rebels Burgers and Brew, are as follows. From Animals, Bradley Westwood for his eagle photo. From Scenery, Bailey Shutton's capture Soarin' over Crafton Hills. And from your community, Aiden Wood for his photo of Yucaipa High School football. The first place winners from each category will be taking home $50 to Hickory Ranch Steakhouse. From the scenery category, Leah Minderhout for her blossom tree capture. And from your community, Joel Hensler for his photo, Yucaipa just before sunrise. One outstanding capture was selected as the 2025 Grand Prize winner, and in addition to the first place prize, will receive 2 tickets to an upcoming comedy night at the Yucaipa Performing Arts Center. This year's Grand Prize winner of the 3rd annual You Capture Yucaipa photo contest is Michael White for his photo, Bobcat Stare of Wonder. For Bob. Congratulations, and thank you to everyone who participated in this year's contest and helped make it such a success. Your creativity not only captured beautiful images, but reinforced the strong sense of community pride that makes Yucaipa such a special place. We look forward to continuing this tradition and building on its success in the years ahead. All winning photos will be displayed online at yucaipa.gov/photo contest, where you will also find the 2026 application, as we are now accepting submissions. Thank you. All right, we got some people taking the picture, then.
All right. That was awesome. You guys did a fantastic job. All right, public safety update. So, we have Captain.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here's your January 2026 police update. We had 3,437 calls for service, just a tick above December. Maintained a 4-minute average response time to emergency calls. Peak times continued to beat Sunday through Tuesday afternoons. For our Part 1 crimes, we had 0 homicides, 1 reported rape, 2 robberies, 28 aggravated assaults, 6 burglaries, 21 thefts, and 1 motor vehicle theft, 0 arsons. For arrests, we had 68 arrests, 55 were adult bookings into one of our correctional facilities. Most common arrests continue to be narcotic-related offenses, warrant arrests, trespass violations, and domestic violence incidents. For Traffic Enforcement Division, we issued 145 traffic citations and 26 traffic accident investigations were conducted, and we had 8 DUI arrests. Per council's request, we added this slide into it for traffic collision investigations. So in January, we had 19 non-injury traffic collisions, 1 minor injury, 1 major injury, 3 fatal injury TCs, and 2 DUI TCs. For our solution-oriented policing team, we had 29 transient calls for service in January, 16 complaints via the Yucaipa app, 3 subjects accepted assistance or information and 1 placement, 75 plus park patrols and vacant property checks, and continued collaboration with local business owners and managers, and we added 40 new letters of agency. Update on some of the cases that we conducted in January. On Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, at about 23:50 hours, Yucaipa deputies contacted Mr. Patrick Alexander after he was detained in the backyard of his neighbor's residence. Mr. Alexander was detained by a homeowner after he was caught opening the window of a juvenile victim and attempted to gain entry. Can't really go into too much more right now because the investigation is still ongoing. He was booked for PC 459, which is burglary, and we expect to have more charges on this gentleman. And then I'm sure that unfortunately a lot of people saw all the graffiti that was taking place between November 25 and January 2026. Deputies Eric Gonzalez and William Zemer took the lead on this investigation and positively identified the suspect as Edgar Origa, I believe it is, of Fontana. He used the moniker CTE, AFS, and BFOR. On Thursday, February 5th, deputies and detectives served a search warrant at his residence, and they collected evidence related to the Yucaipa vandalism, along with a firearm with an attached large capacity ammo magazine. He is a convicted felon and prohibited from possessing such weapons. The suspect was arrested for multiple felony offenses and booked into West Valley. Any questions?
Any questions? No? Thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Malinowski.
Evening, Mayor and Council. January stat report, we had 629 calls for January. Kind of one of our typically slower months, but busier than I don't have the comparison, but we did get our annual stats. You'll get that on the report soon, and we were about 15% busier last year than the previous year, so it went up as expected. A lot of significant incidents. For whatever reason, we've been, no common denominator, but we've been, what we would say, burning significant structure fires about every week. We had several in January there, and then 1 commercial that we wrote a citation for. We've started the first department in the county to start ECMO training, so like it's an extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Remember that there's a test. Fancy CPR stuff to better enhance the service we provide so people can walk out of the hospital. and also cooperative agreement workshop with the department. Attended the high school career fair. Never know how these are going to go, but it's actually really well. A lot of good input from the kids, and everything's digital now, so like QR codes and all that. And there was a lot of interest from the high school kids. It was good, and that's all I got for you. The rest was just
great.
work, nothing flashy.
I like seeing you out with the kids and stuff, because that's who's
Absolutely.
going to be running us here pretty soon.
Yep.
So thank you for that. Any questions?
I got a quick question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just so we can keep this on our minds as we progress and start getting closer to our new budget cycle. Station 3, 273 calls for service for the month of January. That averages about a little over 9 calls a day.
Yep.
How are these guys sleeping?
They don't, and that's a slow month. So when you go back to our months where it's 900 something, then that's much more amplified. So
900 calls in a month. We're talking 30 calls in a 24-hour period.
yeah,
And how many hours are our firefighters working at Station 3? How many days on, how many days off?
72 plus. So that's changing, but we are working towards a 56-hour staffing down the road. But
So as of right now, 3 straight days,
3 on.
no
Correct.
sleep. I mean, 30 calls in a 24-hour period. I'm going to be honest with you, I'd quit. I'd leave your department, because what are we doing to our men who are showing up? And then the question I have is, what level of service are they providing when they're half asleep? They're zombies at that point. So
Excellent service, but very tired.
tired service. Please don't take this as me disparaging our firefighters.
Completely understand. It's an unsustainable model, as we've discussed with
We've got to do better as a community to take care of these people who are showing up through one bloodshot, watery eye because they didn't get any sleep for the last 2 days to save our loved ones. We can't sustain that. So I'm glad we have the tax measure to help us. We're gonna have to spend it. We need to get them back up, because the fact is, because I know what it is. We have one medic engine for Station 3 going call to call, which means they're not out there waxing the red fire engine like I always make fun of firefighters for doing. They're actually they're doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
And they're not getting sleep while they're doing it.
Nope. And
So-
now our hospital ride-ins are further. We're riding to the hospital more than we ever have, especially with our poor EMS transportation services.
Anticipate me bringing this up every time we talk about this, until such time as we have a squad or some other backup, especially for Station 3. I realize the other stations aren't far behind them, but until we fix it, we shouldn't be stopping. We shouldn't stop talking about it, because it's uncomfortable to sit here and say that we are failing as a community to take care of the people who take care of us.
I agree.
So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Benson.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'll be quick. Or not. Here we go. So code enforcement statistics for January 2026. In January, there were 39 new cases submitted. Of those 39 new cases, 23 of those new cases were resolved by the end of the month. Top cases are going to be graffiti, garbage, land use. As far as inspection activity, there were 49 inspections conducted in January for historical cases that we've already had. Of those 49 historical cases, we managed to close out 45 of those historical cases. There were 4 mobile home park inspections conducted and 2 poultry ranch inspections conducted in an attempt to, get a handle on the, flies for upcoming summer. And that's all I have to report, unless you have any questions.
Questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, now to public comment.
Would you like a report on your mobile app?
Oh, yeah, on my mobile app. I'm sorry. Goodness. And I'm the one that requested that all the time.
Mayor, members of the City Council, this is your January monthly usage report for the Yucaipa mobile app. We had a total of 284 monthly users, 222 reported issues, and our top issue was streets. We saw an increase from the month of December. We're at 284 versus 234. We also saw an increase in the total issues submitted, and again, streets is our top issue. Streets with 70 issues reported. Code enforcement came in second with 51 issues reported, and then graffiti vandalism came in third with 32 issues reported. If we break down our 70 issues for streets, 23 of those were related to potholes, 22 were categorized as other, 13 were for illegal dumping. We had 5 sign issues, 5 weeds overgrowth, and then 2 for sidewalks. Here's our response times, just 4.5 days for street city issues, just over 3 days for code enforcement issues, and 3.5 days for graffiti vandalism. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
He wasn't. So it is going up a little.
It is.
Good. So we have on, just so you guys know, we have our trails and open spaces walks on the app. We have our ribbon cuttings. We have everything that you can imagine on our app. So you can go on there and find out what the city's doing, if they have a ribbon cutting, or if you're going to join Christine Muller in a Trails and Open Spaces walk. And it's getting better and better. So I urge you to download it on your phone and check out what the city of Yucaipa is doing. So, all right. Now, do we have public comments?
We do have public comment. We'll start with Richard Frost, followed by Hanson Wong.
Richard Frost, Yucaipa. I was reading about the pedestrians being hit by cars. I know they've had that problem in Yucaipa for some time. I know this intersection up here, 5th and Yucaipa intersection, is really kind of bad. You kind of, if you cross the street, you got to watch for cars coming around. You know, they take a right turn on red without stopping. And I remember one time walking there one night, somebody had been killed in the intersection. They had a sheet over them. And with the right on red, you have to, I guess people forget, you have to treat it like a stop sign, and then you stop and then go right. And then it's, let's see what that, so that, and then also there was a really bad accident there about 10 years ago with the Omnitrans shuttle. Number 319, there was somebody coming up from the bottom of Yucaipa Boulevard at extremely high speed, and 2 people called the police and complained about it. And then he ran into the back of the 319 as he was turning on to Yucaipa Boulevard, and the driver panicked and ran over the motorcyclist, and he died later on. Well, interestingly, New York City doesn't allow right turns on red, probably so many pedestrians there. And I've been walking up in Yucaipa sometimes, and they'll have cars just speeding up in a busy part of Yucaipa Boulevard downtown. Not for very long, but this just to see how fast they can go. Because you get to certain speeds, you can't stop, even if you want to. So, but.
Thank you.
Hanson Wong.
Good evening, Hanson Wong, 35150 Court Street, Yucaipa. So, a couple of things are seemingly going very well. The Saturday walk keeps adding some new people, and some people can make it and some people can't. They had about 13 people taking the walk. We had a couple of people from the Loma Linda Lopers come and said, you know, I'm getting old enough, I can't lope around, I'm gonna have to join Yucaipa's walk. And so that was a good thing. And supporting us this week was Subs of USA. They had a coupon that was raffled out to one of the people on the walk. April 25th, remember Run for the Hills. And if you can't, you'll be allowed to walk for the hills as well. So just to let you know. The next part is just a perception on my part. Obviously, you know, the referendum and freeway corridor plan and so on, the city will educate the citizens of the city as part of their transparency as to why they feel it's important and necessary and so on. The developer persuades the community to go their direction. They sent out a survey, and the survey, if I was a developer, I would have done it exactly the same way. It was done very well. It said something like, well, this will provide more funds for first responders. So are you in favor somewhat, or are you not in favor, or are you sort of in favor of the freeway corridor plan as it was presented? And other thing, they talk about the open space, and they said again, are you in favor or not? All of the things they said, if that was the only thing I knew about, I would absolutely be in favor of open space and more money for the first responders and so on. But it didn't give anything from the other side and didn't give you a chance to say, you know, that might not be what I want. So it's good for what they do. If you look at it and they report out so many people liked it, just remember what questions went into it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Valley Elementary Student Leader, followed by Noah Casio.
Mayor Venable, members of the council, my name is Hunter Adams, and I am a member of Valley Elementary Student Lighthouse Team.
Good evening. My name is Mason Dahl, and I too am a member of the Student Lighthouse Team. And we've come to invite you to our annual Leadership Day at Valley.
As we are a Leader in Me school, which is based on the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. As we are the future leaders of the community, we want you to know and see what is happening at our amazing school.
We are learning how to lead ourselves and our school. We set wildly important goals or WIGs that help us keep on track with our learning and behaviors.
Leadership Day is a chance for our school to show the community and our families all that we are learning to become leaders.
Friday, March 13th at 7 a.m., you will be immersed in our Leader in Me ways, from Friday flag synergy time to classroom tours, all led by students.
We know that you are all busy, but this day is well worth your time.
Thanks for your time tonight, and we look forward to seeing you all there Friday, March 13th at 7 a.m.
So Friday, March 13th at 7 a.m. All right.
Noah Casio.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Noah Casio. I'm an 8th grader at Sika. Every year, the 8th grade class has to do a community project as our end of the year final. I'm here because I love baseball, I care about our community, and for my project, I've chosen to help Yucaipa Valley National Little League get lights on their fields. I understand the planning has been completed and the cost has been determined. I truly appreciate the work that has already gone into this project. These fields aren't just used by Little League. The high school and other outside organizations would be able to use them more too. And that would bring families, visitors, and more revenue to our community, but without lights, those opportunities end when the sun goes down. Adding lights would allow more teams to practice in a shorter amount of time, freeing up other community parks, which would allow residents who don't play baseball an opportunity to reserve parks for their own enjoyment of birthdays, reunions, etc. It would make better use of the facility that we already have, support youth development, and increase safety and potential in our city. This isn't just an expense, but an investment in kids, families, and the future of our community. I have 4 questions for you. How much is the city willing to financially help or match? How is the American League Lights funded? Are there grants that can help with the cost? And what can the city athletes and families do to help make this project possible? That's it.
All right. You want to, Deputy?
Thank you for coming and speaking to us. I know myself and Councilmember Miller are very active in trying to get our ball fields to be better for everybody. I certainly would like you to get with, if you can get with Fermin, please. He's our city engineer right there in the gray suit. We'll get you answer those questions, and certainly it's something that is on our radar to get addressed, because we're a baseball community. We always have been, and by God, I think we'll always will be. So thank you for coming out and speaking and bringing it to our attention.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I have nothing further for general public comment.
All right. Now it's time. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest or anything to disclose on any of the items? All right. This is the consent agendas 1 through 5. Is there any council member want to remove any?
I'll move approval on items 1 through 5.
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, item number 6. Dr. Moore?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. This item before you is consideration to review and approve a letter of appreciation to the city of Rialto. Back on June 30, 2026, through the city of Rialto Rialto Police Department Traffic Division, through the Office of Traffic Safety Grant, assisted the Yucaipa Police Department with traffic enforcement. This has gone on before. We collaborate with our public safety partners throughout the Inland Empire. They've been up here before, my understanding from staff, and they were scheduled to come up here and help do some enforcement. During the enforcement efforts, there were over 87 citations issued and 1 arrest of someone driving over 116 miles an hour on a roadway posted for 45 miles an hour, truly endangering the lives of other motorists on our roadways. The letter is attached for your review. It's all requested to be signed by the mayor and council, and then a certificate of appreciation will be presented to the city of Rialto. I'm on the agenda for tomorrow to attend and as a presentation and provide it to the city and the city mayor and council at the city of Rialto. That concludes staff's report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just want to thank, I think you and Trevor had something to do with that, getting them out here on the OTS grant. And please say hi to Chief Kling for me. I know he's still working, and great chief, good department, and I'm glad to see us collaborate with him. I thought that was excellent. Thank you.
Judy? No. Nope. All right. Well, thank you. Do we need a vote for this?
Consensus would be great. Consensus would be fine.
Yeah, I reviewed the letter. I think it looks good. Let's send it.
Yeah. We're good. All right, item number 7. Mr. Preciado.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. This item is the acceptance of contract work for the replacement and installation of the carpet and the flooring at the senior center, the Shear Community Center, located at First Street and Avenue B. As you're aware, the Community Development Block Grant Program, or the CDBG program, is a federal program that provides funding to improve low and moderate income communities. The CDBG funding is available to the city of Yucaipa through the county, more specifically the county's Community Development and Housing Department. CDBG funding is provided for 2 different types of programs or projects. One is for capital infrastructure projects that improve pedestrian and transit-related access, such as sidewalks, bus stops, and ADA improvements, ADA access. The funding is also available to improve public facilities and public buildings that serve low and moderate income communities. If you recall, back in 2024, the City Council approved an application requesting $80,000 in CDBG funds for the flooring and carpet replacement project at the Shear Community Center. The city's application was approved by the county, and staff put together the contract bid documents for that project and went out to bid. After going through that process, City Council awarded a contract to Del Mar Floor Covering and approved a contract budget of $68,000 to complete the work. That work, the flooring and carpet replacement work has been completed, and it was coordinated with the interior painting project at the senior center facility, which resulted in a significant upgrade to that public facility, allowing for the Community Services Department to provide the much needed services to the seniors in the community. Over the last 20 years, CDBG funding has been used to update the senior center facility, and which ultimately resulted in reducing maintenance costs to the city's general fund. Staff is recommending that City Council accept the contract work completed by Del Mar Flooring for the project and authorize the recordation of the notice of completion for the project. That concludes my report, and staff is available for questions.
All right, well, thank you.
I just have a comment.
Okay.
Okay. I know when we get these, put these bids out, of course, bigger companies are gonna probably outbid our local people most of the time. But it would really be nice, you know, if we could get some of our local people to get these bids so that we can get the sales tax from it too. So just a comment.
All right, well, thank you. Bob?
All right.
Deputy?
Move approval.
Second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now, item number 8, Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll be brief. Last meeting, the meeting before, Deputy Mayor Beaver requested that we bring an item before you guys to push back on the taking away of local control. So before you have two options. You have an approval of a letter to Sacramento addressed directly to the Governor Newsom, or something much stronger, an adoption of a resolution seeking legislative relief and restoration of local land use authority. As the council is well aware, slowly but surely, incrementally, the state has been eroding local control. First by, SB 9, ADU laws, the housing enforcement, giving police powers to housing and community development. It goes on and on. So I have attached for your consideration, and we will need to vote on this. Either do you want to send a letter, or you want to send a stronger message to Sacramento and the friends up there at Sacramento with a resolution. This concludes staff's report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. Thank you.
Judy? Bob?
Why does it have to be or? Why can't it be both?
Deputy Mayor, we can definitely do both. We can do the resolution and attach the letter and have it sent off.
At the risk of adding more minutes to the city council meeting, if you let me, I'd like to read this letter because I think it's nailed right on the head, and I think old Gavin needs to hear it. Not that I think he'll read it, but certainly I wish he would. Regarding the erosion of local land use control and demand for deterministic determination. Dear Governor Newsom, the city of Yucaipa is a special place, and its residents choose to live here specifically for its rural and small town charm. However, state housing laws have been assaulting our rural way of life for several years, and we have reached a breaking point. Californians choose to incorporate cities to control their local densities and gain autonomy. Land use control gives local residents the ability to design communities that fit the local geography, both in how they look and adapt to nature's risks and hazards. Yucaipa sits at the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains, and our geography places us in a significant fire danger. Our development pattern is inspired by our ranching and agricultural history. In good faith, the city of Yucaipa complied with state law, developed a robust housing element compatible with our unique community, and received a certification from the Department of Housing and Community Development. Yet, the reward for our compliance has been punitive. While we have planned for adequate housing to meet RHNA allocations, the goalposts continue to move. Laws like SB 330 and the state density bonus law create a bait and switch that makes local planning impossible. Unplanned density. Developers are now leveraging SDBL bonuses to drive actual densities to higher than what we authorize in our certified housing element. Infrastructure strain. Large housing projects with densities exceeding our plans strain our local infrastructure. These bonuses units exceed the physical capacity of our roads and sewers, yet provide insufficient compensation for necessary upgrades. Public safety risks. In our high fire hazard severity zones, one-size-fits-all density is a liability. Increased density without planned infrastructure compromises evacuation routes and emergency responses time in the wild and urban interface. Restoring the integrity of the planning process. As the state usurps our local control, residents turn to their local representatives with blame and scorn. We are the ones accessible to them in the grocery store and the council chambers, yet we are being stripped of the tools to address their legitimate concerns. We are forced to implement unpopular, monolithic laws that ignore the specific geography and safety needs of our community. We demand relief, a restoration of local control to determine our own destiny. For jurisdictions that act in good faith, we propose a reward. Once the city's housing element is certified by HCD, the city should be exempt from mandatory state density bonuses that exceed the maximum densities established in that certified plan for the remainder of the RENA cycle. This change would restore the integrity of the planning process, ensure that infrastructure planning remains viable, and return a modicum of local control to the people of California in their respective local jurisdictions. We have done what you asked. It is time for the state to respect the plans it mandated we create. If you have any questions, please contact our city manager. Sincerely, Mayor Chris Venable. The letter is well written. The resolution is equally powerful, and I want to do both. I want to pass the resolution, and I want the letter to fall into old Gavin's mailbox as soon as possible.
So are you making a motion?
Yeah, that'll be my motion.
So we got a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, that's okay. Go ahead and.
Yeah, strongly worded letter. Makes a lot of sense. I guess I would ask the city manager, what's the end goal if we send the letter? What do we really expect?
I mean, I would just say the council, the mayor council and the community are concerned about these increased densities, not following our general plans, not following zoning ordinances, not following infrastructure plans. That's why there's 100 years of planning laws, case studies, case decided by courts, and then the state throws it out. And they throw everything out at the will and disrespecting cities. I think the goal is to send the message up to Sacramento that cities are getting tired of, the city of Yucaipa especially. I know my previous jurisdiction, they were sick of it too, jamming apartment units on a built-out city that's been built out since the 60s. Yucaipa is a rural community. These high-density projects don't fit here. They never have fit. 3 or 4 stories is an abomination, and to me, it wrecks I'm a planner by trade, so wrecks the view shed that people paid for to look at those beautiful mountains, and then you have a 4-story stack them and pack them apartment complex, so I could understand. So the message to the governor is we're sick of local control being eroded, and I think the end game, I don't know what the end game is, but we're sick of it. And I just want to say this for the record. Cities were here first, Governor Newsom. There wasn't a county or a state here. Cities were here first. And they forget that covenant that we've had where they respected local control. And I think this letter and this resolution is a strong message to the governor's office. And I'll make sure it gets to him.
Dr. Moore, that was an excellent display of your expertise in the area and with the passion that is felt on this side of the dais. Obviously, it's a positive thing to do, but what's the end game in the end? I mean, I'm sure we're not the only city that sends letters like this or passes resolutions. Have we worked with our local electeds, our assembly member, our state senator? Have we talked to them about this at all, or are we just kind of firing off the information to the governor?
I mean, we have not reached out to our assembly and senators or the governor's office, but we'll certainly copy them on the letters and resolutions and send it to them. So they'll get it. And I'll make sure that this gets in the inbox of the governor's assistants. Tomorrow morning, we'll email that right away and then certify and send the letter up there. So they'll get it. you know, with regards to the working with the Assembly and Senate, hopefully they read the letter and the resolution and they reach out to us. But again, this is as the council and mayor are aware, this is what happens when you have the policy's just narrow-minded. There's no respect for local control, what the local people know what's right for their community. It's just a one-size-fits-all. And I think, and I agree with you, will they listen? Hopefully they will. More letters come in, more pushback against the state. I mean, who knows? Maybe with this new Supreme Court case that's going to be heard, the other cities filed with Huntington Beach and my former organization, maybe we'll be able to get the right to sue the state because they're immune right now. And if that gets heard at the Supreme Court and they rule in favor, then we might have an opportunity. Then we can really address the state of California and their one-size-fits-all policy. So I think the end goal is everything together, push it up there, and see what they say.
Okay, Dr. Moore, thank you. And again, it's a great strategy. With our governor traveling to Europe and doing everything else, I hope even somebody will read this thing. But I'm optimistic they will. I think if more communities stuck up for the things like this, like the deputy mayor said, there probably might be a better outcome. But that may change in November anyways. So hopefully, but yeah, strongly worded, well written. I don't know who wrote it, but good job. And if deputy mayor wants to do both, I'm for that.
All right.
Sounded like a second to me.
That sounds like a second.
That's a second.
I got a first and a second. Did you need anything? Okay. All right, we got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Got a 4-0 vote. Thank you very much. All right. We got Ben Matlock up on item number 9, City of Yucaipa home vacancy and ownership.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. This is just a follow-up to a request that was made on January 26th to provide just a little bit of details about the city's kind of housing conditions, whether or not a bunch of houses are being bought up by investment groups or something like that. And so did want to just kind of provide some data and statistics. City of Yucaipa itself has a high rate of ownership, so I provided some tables based on census data of Yucaipa, how it compares to both the state of California and as well as the entire United States. So we do have a high rate of ownership with 73% of people that the household supply that lives there in their own homes. We do have a higher proportion based on our analysis in our housing element. It's because we do have a number of more single-family housing units that have been built compared to apartments. We do have an older demographic in the city as well, so they tend to have higher ownership rates. And then certainly most of the residential land in the city has been planned for single-family homes, and so that all ties in together. Now, I do want to provide just some details of vacancy rates, whether or not people have been buying up a bunch of pieces of property and just kind of letting them sit fallow. And the statistics for the city of Yucaipa does not reflect that. So we do have a very low vacancy rate for home ownership, so it's just under 1%. And then the same goes for the rental vacancy rates that's even more constrained. And so it just means that of the number of household units that we have in the city, those that are available or empty compared to the overall supply tend to fall below the state and national ranges, as well as what generally is considered kind of a healthy level. So you don't want too much vacancy where you have a bunch of empty lots. But if you have a very tight vacancy rates, it means that there's a lot stronger pressure on the prices for the housing. And so for the rental community, as an example, it means higher rents for those that are looking to live in Yucaipa. And then it means a little bit tighter pressure on single-family homes for people who are looking to purchase their first home or move somewhere else and having the option of what type of housing unit that they want. And that concludes my presentation. And this is just a presentation. There's no action. It's just as a FYI, as a follow-up to that council request.
All right. Any questions from the council? Bob?
No.
Nope. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ben. Now we have fiscal year 2026 with Mr. White.
Mr. Mayor, I think we have
business
license item.
Yes, we have the business time.
Ben.
I'm sorry. I already checked one off and passed it right up.
Oh,
Here we
sorry
go
about
again. Sorry.
All right, so this is just kind of a follow-up to City Council's request to discuss the business license program as it was, and kind of what direction that we would like to go into the future. So provided a table in the staff report that kind of gives a highlight of what the old business license did, and more importantly, what it did not do. The zoning clearance process that the City Council recently approved and has recently gone live, so is still kind of at the start. And then getting direction from City Council of what they would like to do. So the old business license program applied to anyone that was doing anything in the city of Yucaipa. So if you were a vendor at market night, if you were a vendor at a city festival, you're a contractor doing work at someone's house, or a standard brick and mortar establishment, they all required an annual business license fee. The zoning clearance process itself was more tailored to those with a physical presence. So if you're a vendor at some sort of event, and it wouldn't be that they required to do a daily, business license fee. And then the fee would itself just be a one-time fee. So once you start, you kind of know whether or not the business is allowed to be there or not. The business license process in the past was not a approval of businesses, so it's more of a business registry. It did not authorize the land use. It didn't authorize any activity that was happening on there, but it did allow some potential land use issues to be flagged and some consolidation. The zoning clearance itself is to specifically figure out what's the business doing, where are they going, and does the zoning allow for that? And more importantly, is there building permits or other changes to the building necessary to facilitate that land use? And so the old business license program, because it dealt with contractors, did have a contractor verification process in place. It's no longer required because our building permit process provides real-time updates with the state licensing board for business licenses. And then because of the program, how we designed it, integrates into the existing Tyler contract. So if we wanted to do a business license program, it does require some modifications to the Tyler contract and additional staffing to provide that administrative support. Do want to note as well, just in terms of the business license program, and anything kind of related of it is it did not address sales stats. So the sales stats registry for what businesses have. Business license wasn't a check process for that or a verification of, are they a good business or anything like that. It was just, did they file the paperwork on time and kind of maintain that? And then certainly as part of it, code enforcement and the fire department can use both lists to determine, what's a new business in the city, and are they compliant with the code or schedule inspections from there. And that kind of concludes the differences between it, and staff's happy to explore any direction that you guys see, any feedback you've received, and kind of make sure that we can either adjust one program or develop another to be responsive to those needs and go from there.
Mayor, Council, I want to add a couple things real quick on Ben's presentation. So after getting here and evaluating the situation, our previous business license process was not what we would call, like in other agencies, a real business license process. It was a little bit not as robust. And then as a stopgap, the mayor and council directed staff to come up with that land use approval. What we want you guys to consider is outlined in the staff report, is a more comprehensive type of process where we include all the departments to review the application from the business license, which would include code enforcement, police department, fire department, planning, building and safety, all the key departments. They sign off on it. We would have to we used to have a staff member for that position. We'd have to get hired back for that staff member. But we'd also get a new software program that could be block in modular into our current Tyler system, is what I'm told from staff. We could do that as a possibility as well, and do it all on a web-based system instead of the old paper system. So if that's something you guys are interested in doing, staff are here to answer any questions, but we could do something like that. Just keep in mind the cities that are surrounding us. I've looked at several of them. They all have a robust business license. It's not about taxing people it's about understanding who's in our city. I'll give you two examples. When I started a month and a half ago, we already had 2 complaints. I had them from businesses that moved into the city. They didn't know they needed all these special approvals, approval for sign permits, approval for their colors, all of these things. If we had had some kind of business license process where people, that's generally where people go. Do I need a business license? What, check your land use, go to community development. Land use tells you, yes, you can go in the uptown, that's not a problem. But if you go in this building, you need a site plan review approval process. Or the restaurant just went out of business, you can move right in there, as long as you're keeping the same floor plan, you meet ADA requirements, you can move in, we can sign off your business license. It's a similar use that was in there. Or let's say one of the auto dealers leave. In my previous jurisdiction, the auto dealers would leave, the council wanted the clock ticking. Check them from day one they left to the day one, because they wanted them to amortize those out of existence eventually. So this business license process is very important. It's not only just to know about the business, but also it's a land use control, a policing authority, and it also helps people know they use that business license so they can get contracts, that they're legitimate, and it authorizes them to be in the city. So it's not as simple as some people will tell you. It's actually a comprehensive process that many jurisdictions have. I was quite surprised that we didn't have a business license in effect, because most cities around us, surrounding us, do have a business license program. Thank you.
Okay.
How long would it take to get this in the works?
Okay, so, you know, it'd take about a year. It's not gonna happen overnight. I talked to Phil about it a couple weeks ago, so we'd have to get our old business license applicants back up. We'd have to send them notices. We obviously need to allow people amortization time of 6 months, so we need to do a notice for that, let them know they need to start filling out applications for their business license, the renewal process, I'd say about a year or so, year give or take in next fiscal year. It's not gonna happen overnight. We'd have to get the program going. We have to check with Tyler, see if they got the business license module we can plug in that the council, you know, authorized us to buy a few years ago, plug that in. I don't know how that system's gonna work. We need to review that, so it's gonna take some time. So about a year and a half, give or take.
So it looks like it would be at a cost of maybe $200,000?
Roughly, but it would probably be a little less. It'd be offset with some of the business license fees.
Right.
And I wouldn't recommend you raise those fees. If you guys decide tonight to go forward with a robust business license process, let us bring it in, get it going, keep the fee what it originally was. We're gonna lose money on it, but then we can evaluate it as we get the program installed, get people used to it. Because remember, people weren't used to not having a business license for a while now. I don't know how long it's been, a couple of years, I think. So
yeah.
I think, you know, we give people time to adjust. And then that way we make the process seamless. We work with everyone. We get the staff member. We're going to have to hire a staff member that has some business license expertise to help us process these applications. Get the software up first, and then the staff member in there, run the program, make sure it works. So we're looking at a good year and a half.
So it would actually be done in stages, more or less?
Yes.
Okay, so the cost of it wouldn't really come out of this year's budget. It would be maybe put into our next budget.
Well, we'd have to, that's correct. It wouldn't be the mid-year. It would probably put it in this next coming budget. But I bet you we wouldn't have it spent because we still have to get the modular for the business license, then look at putting the job description back out that we originally had for the job. Probably need to update it. I need to bring that back to you for approval, review and approval, all of these things. There's a bunch of steps we need to make. So it could even go out to the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay. Bob?
Well, I thought we tried to talk about this back in September, if I'm right, with the ordinance updates. So we've been down that road, and then it was brought back. Obviously, I would support doing something robust to regain the fees. People shouldn't come to town lost about do they need a business license or not. I like the idea that you have various check stages that they would go through to assure that everybody's on board with whatever the application process is, just as long as it isn't too lengthy. But I like robust, Dr. Moore. We can't go wrong there. You did say we were probably be in the negative to start with, but then I'm sure we'll do a fee adjustment eventually. That's going to come back to us. And we'll still be business friendly about our community and try to work with them also. But yeah, I agree with what you're proposing. I think we're just talking about it tonight. Am I right, Mayor? We're not voting on it. Are we giving direction on this?
We're giving direction.
Okay. I support the robust program.
Deputy?
So when we went away from the old business license program is when I started seeing businesses pop up in Yucaipa that gave me, I don't know, feelings of like Waterman and Baseline looking business. Water, shirts, and more. Like a white sign that's like hand painted. And it just popped up. I don't remember hearing about it or seeing anything about it. And it's one of those things that in the 17 years I've been doing my other job, it's always a front for something else. I feel like these businesses that pop up on these parts of town that nobody wants to visit. And I saw what used to be Yucaipa Bike Center turn into like, I don't even know what the business is. I don't know how this is going to sustain itself. A brick and mortar business selling water, t-shirts, and more. I don't know. So whatever we're doing is not, we can't keep doing it because this is literally, I think, what also brought in more massage parlors that were questionable and just not the kind of businesses that we want in our community. So certainly something more robust. I'm excited. That's what I'd like you to focus your efforts on bringing something back because when we say more robust, that sounds good, but I'd like to see the details of it. I think that's something that has to happen before it gets implemented is we need to vote on what that means. What does more robust mean? But at the same time, Councilman Miller said it right. We need businesses, right? And I think, as it was stated during the staff report, had we had a more structured pathway to business, then that restaurant in the Uptown that we worked to help wouldn't have dabbled down the path they did, violating our codes and with their color schemes, which, again, and I said it then, I would rather have a successful business painted the wrong color than a failing business painted the wrong color, because one of them is not going to generate any tax revenue. But if we would have got ahead of it in the first place, it wouldn't have happened anyway. So certainly I'm excited to see what staff brings back to the council as it looks like a more robust plan. And I think our public safety manager and code enforcement probably appreciate that as well, not just planning, because they're the ones who are going out and having to enforce development on people who had no clue there was even development codes. So I'm excited to see what you guys bring back to us. So if you need a motion, I'll motion that we move towards a more robust business license program for our community, and look forward to seeing what you bring back.
Okay, I got a first.
I would second that.
All right, I got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, you have direction. Now it's Mr. White.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of City Council. Item 11 is the fiscal year 26 mid-year budget. Give me one moment here. Right. We've got limited opportunities to meet, talk about current status of financial information, where we are in the spending plan. Mid-year is, as I'm saying this, I think the only opportunity we have to do so. So this is an opportunity for council to evaluate where we are in the spending plan, determine if you'd like to pivot, if you want to pick things up based on not being far enough along in the spending plan, add scope to the spending plan, or pump the brakes. This is a great opportunity, the only opportunity midstream to do so. So that's the focus of tonight, is to provide an overview of where we are compared to budget, our spending plan, our one-year spending plan, and then give you the opportunity to evaluate that and adjust the scope as necessary. There are staff recommendations in this item. They are staff recommendations. City Council always reserves the right to provide alternative direction as we go through these. So we're going to focus on two funds, the general fund and the public safety fund, our two main operating funds. And we're going to talk a little bit about revenues and expenditures of each fund. So we'll start with the general fund and with the revenues. The way that these charts are laid out is that revenue source is down the left-hand side, different types of revenue. Two columns for budget. One is the adopted budget, which you adopted in June of last year. And then current is the amended as of tonight. And so there could be adjustments. There are adjustments, not here on the revenue side, but on the expenditure side, there are adjustments along the way. So those, as we get to those charts, those will be reflected in that current chart. Actuals through December 25, those are actual expenditures incurred up through 12/31. And so a budget is just an authorization to spend. If we have authorization to spend, but we don't spend, there's no actuals associated with it. So that actual column, what's actually been spent, or in this case on the revenue side received, is that column. And then the percent of current budget is just the actuals divided by the current budget. And it just acts as a barometer. So we're halfway through the year with mid-year. Should be about 50% on that percent to current budget. Keep in mind, the timing of all the revenues are not fluid throughout the year. A lot of them are second half of the year heavy, and same with expenditures. And so there could be context as to why we're not right on the 50% other than volume. All right, so on the revenue side, three things to highlight. One is associated with sales and use taxes, starting with Measure S. We've been hearing Measure S. We're familiar with Measure S. It just started up. This year is our first full year of Measure S. Measure S is 1%. The existing sales tax, Bradley Burns, was also 1%. So going into this, we didn't have any trends to benchmark to say how much are we going to get in Measure S. So we had $5.7 million estimated on the Bradley Burns side. So we said 1% should be about 1%. So we estimated $6 million out of the gate with Measure S. The state, CDTFA, had some issues processing because it was a new implementation on their side. So the data that they were giving us originally was flawed. They ended up giving us way too much money at first, which was going to be a great problem. But then they said, hey, we'd like you to send that money back. And when I said, well, what are our other options? They said, why don't you consider that a interest-free advance? And I said, okay. But then we went for several months without getting any money because they were catching up. And so they were adjusting their data. Every month that goes by, we get better and better and better data. Last week, we got the February payment. There's a 2-month lag, so it was based on December data. And at this point, we're starting to see a trend, and it's better than what we had originally estimated. And so what we're projecting now, instead of the $6 million, is $8 million of Measure S money for fiscal year 26. So one of the the staff recommended adjustments to mid-year is to increase Measure S projected revenue by $2 million up to $8 million. Similarly, with the Bradley Burns component of sales tax, those projections come from our sales tax consultants, HDL, and they do this statewide for everybody. And they're pretty tight on their projections. They also update their projections quarterly. There's been a downward projected sales tax revenue statewide that's going to impact Yucaipa, our projection as well. So we are recommending dropping the projected sales tax revenue related to Bradley Burns from $5.7 million down $100,000 to $5.6 million. Moving on to another component of revenue in the general fund, charges for services. There's a lot of different individual revenues that roll up into charges for services. A significant component of the variance is related to ticket sales, YPAC ticket sales specifically. There's also a corresponding variance on the expenditure side of costs associated with the facility, the YPAC usage. And what that tells us is that there's a lower number of shows happening at the YPAC, so the costs are lower and the revenues are lower. At this point, we're not going to make up the volume in the second half of the year, and so both the costs and the revenues are going to be lower than what were originally anticipated. So we are proposing a downward charges for services number in the general fund of $400,000 as well. All the other revenue streams, property taxes, franchise fees, intergovernmental, all of those are all on track. The percentages are off. Property tax is a little bit over, but about 60% of our property tax comes in before December 31st and about 40% afterwards. So we're right on track with that one. Franchise fees, heavy in May and June, so we'll get most of that money May and June. Intergovernmental comes in 2 times, one in January, one in April. And the January payment did hit just after 12/31, and so we're right on track with that one as well. Investment income, we're on track. Other revenue, we're on track. And then transfers are posted at year end, recorded at year end. And so we'll be on track with that as well, but it'll be a 0 until June. All right, so our net recommendation on the revenue side in the general fund is an increase of $1.5 million. Moving over to the general fund expenditures. This is by character code, salaries and benefits, all other operating costs, and then transfers out. With municipal expenditures, it's tied to service levels. So it's not like we go to the grocery store and we use coupons or we get a better deal on something and we're under budget. Service levels drive costs. And so if we're under budget, it means it equates to service not delivered. And so if we're significantly under that 50% mark, it could be because the costs are skewed towards the back half of the year, or services aren't being delivered up to the level planned in the spending plan. That's the case here. We have some costs in the other operating that are skewed towards the back half of the year, but there's a significant under delivery of services. Starting with salaries and benefits, the reason for that is the staff report says we're exceeding 20% vacancy rate. As of publishing, we were right at 25% vacancy rate, where we have 85 full-time equivalents. We had 22 vacancies that are, we're fixing that. We're in the middle of a lot of recruitments. 9 of the 22 are actively being recruited right now, and we're onboarding people as we go. But it trends to, we're significantly under the 50% because of the vacancy level. What that also does, moving down to operating, is it creates a bottleneck in service delivery. There's a lot of stuff to get done, but if there's not the people here to process and get it done, there's a bottleneck and the services aren't going out. And so that's happened here. Not to the extent of 27%. There's a significant component of operating costs that are going to be January through June. And so we're not halfway delivering services, but there is a bottleneck, and some of it will be alleviated in the second half of the year, but the vacancy rate is also driving a reduced service delivery rate, all kind of working together. Transfers out, again, $22 million of transfers out. That's primarily going to the public safety fund as that big backfill. Again, that's going to happen at year end, so we'll catch up with that at year end. That's a very summarized view of costs in the general fund. I also broke it out this way. Same information, only this is by department. So in non-department, that includes all of our transfers, so that big number primarily is transfers out, again, end of the year. But you can go through all the general fund departments and see what we're doing by department. City manager, city council, general services, finance, governmental affairs, community services, community development, public works, and engineering. Most of these are, that percent used is landing somewhere in the 30 to 40%. Again, we'd want to be closer to 50, all things being equal on this, and that's kind of the bottleneck. It's not one specific department, it's just all over the place. The pure administrative departments like finance, that's what we're doing on the finance side is just servicing everybody else. And so if they're down on their volume, we're down because we're just servicing those other client-facing departments. One, Department of General Services is 27%. That one does have significant contracts that are going to hit right at year end, like animal control. That's a significant one for them. That comes in at the end of the year. So that is artificially low on their side. But you can see across the board, we're 30 to 40%, where we're mid-year, we should be closer to 50. All right. So while we don't have cost overruns on the general fund side, there are a couple of items that are considered scope increases that we did want to cover, a couple recommendations associated with that. I'm going to have the directors of those departments share, General Services and Public Works, starting with Anna with General Services.
Thank you, Phil. Council, two things for you guys to consider tonight. The increase for general services, we've got agenda management software, and then we've got our bulletin board upgrade. If the city council recalls, back on January 12th of this year, the city attorney presented you with an update on SB 707, which was major updates to the Brown Act. We talked a little bit about this. We talked a little bit about the bulletin board upgrade, but really SB 707 was intended to diversify and increase public engagement and modernize the Brown Act in the face of technological advancements. So for agenda management software, currently Yucaipa has a paper process for processing our agendas. It's a very manual process. So effectiveness and efficiency can be gained by purchasing agenda management software. Additionally, we're getting very, very close to the threshold for the language requirement for SB 707. If I remember correctly, we were just over 18%, City Attorney, if you recall. Just over 18%, we're getting very close to that 20%. So by purchasing agenda management software, we're gonna check off quite a few of those boxes there. It will automatically allow for the public to switch. You just click on a little toggle button and it'll translate the agenda for you. As far as our bulletin board upgrade, that's something that we're doing right here at City Hall, right outside. So we are going with a digital bulletin board. And so we're looking at just under $7,000 for that. And for agenda management software, we're looking to budget $15,000, but we're hoping to come in significantly under for both of those dollar amounts. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Was that everything?
No, there's more.
Okay.
I'm turning it over to
I
for me
figured.
for Public Works.
Thank you. As part of this item, staff is also recommending to replace one of our pieces of equipment in our fleet. This is the bucket truck that is used by various departments here in the city for various purposes. The current bucket truck is about 26 years old. It's a 2000 model with about 245,000 miles. And as I mentioned, it is used by various departments, by Public Works for the maintenance of traffic signals, lighting, and sign maintenance, by Community Services to help set up for special events, and also for banners and lighting, by our IT department for maintenance of our communications, our cameras and communications software, and also public safety for the installation and maintenance of our automated license plate reader cameras in that system. There are several options that are being presented as shown in the staff report. Option one is to purchase a used bucket truck. Staff has done some preliminary research and noticed that there are some used pieces of equipment out there that are 4 to 6 years old with low mileage and warranty that would meet the city's requirements. Option two is for the purchase of a new bucket truck, and option three is the lease option. Several months ago, you heard staff present the comprehensive lease strategy, where we mentioned that in reaching out to Bancorp, which the city has a contract with, they had indicated that a bucket truck is more of a specialized type of piece of equipment, which staff wouldn't recommend the lease option, but just we did want it added as an option, since it is an option, but there is a financing cost on top of that. And again, as stated by Bancorp, the specialized pieces of equipment are not good lease candidates. So as part of this, staff is recommending option number one, which is the purchase of a used bucket truck, which would require an additional $60,000 in authorization, spending authorization of about $60,000, along with the funding that is currently already in the Public Works operational budget. If one of the purchasing options is selected, staff would certainly go through the city's procurement process. We put together the specs that are required for the piece of equipment and reach out to the different vendors on either a used or a new piece of equipment. Obviously go through the city's procurement process, and that item, because it is estimated to be over $30,000, would have to come back to City Council for formal approval at that point. Thank you.
Right. All right, so the summary of the requested or the recommended items is $82,000. To be clear, that would be coming out of the general fund, and that would cover the general services request as well as the public works request. All right, jumping over to the other fund, the other operating fund, the public safety fund, starting with revenue. This is also by revenue source. We have a couple different components of revenue. So under property taxes, this fund accounts for restricted property tax. That's the parcel tax associated with the paramedic operation, about $1 million of revenue coming in from that is restricted for paramedic use. It also includes the fire protection services committed property tax. 35% of property tax coming to the city of Yucaipa is committed by the city council, committed to fire protection services, and so that is about $5 million this year, and so that's the $6.3 million in property tax money. Charges for services, when the fire department loans out its apparatus, there's a reimbursement that's made. It's almost like a rental fee. But when that comes back, that is coded in this public safety fund associated with fire. Fire gets credit for that reimbursement. And we're always low on the estimated revenue associated with that. However, when actuals come in, like in this case, actuals have almost doubled the budget already. Fire gets full credit for what they actually received. And so it's less important to get that budget number right because fire's getting all the credit, everything that they're bringing in associated with that. They're getting that for dollar. And that's through the account strings that are used to record those revenues. And then transfers in, that big transfers in that's zero. Again, that's a transfer that is posted at year end. So everything's on track. There is no recommended adjustments coming out of the public safety fund as far as revenue goes. Jumping over to the expenditure side of public safety, police services, a couple of things with police services. You can see the number between adopted and current jumped about $1 million. That $1 million is at the budget adoption, if you recall. The sheriff department was undergoing, they were in the middle of negotiations. Subsequent to that, when we got the real number for the sheriff's department, that was an adjustment in that budget. And it landed there. We had it sitting in a contingency bucket, and we moved it out of the general fund in there. So from council's perspective, there was no additional authorized spending. We had it sitting somewhere else, and we just moved it right in. And you can see that movement through the adopted and the current. Fire protection services, there's a little bit of an increase on between adopted and current as well. They had some, I don't know if you've heard, but they've got old fire engines and old apparatus. The maintenance costs on those is going up. And so there's been a couple of times where some maintenance costs have exceeded budget, and we're coming back to you guys for authorization to get that cleaned up. One other thing, jumping back up to police services, our code enforcement division here at the city of Yucaipa is accounted for underneath police services. And so that number, you may say, hey, that number looks high based on what I know about the contract. Yeah, it is. Everything police services is in there, including the contract, and our code enforcement division is accounted for in there as well. Paramedic services is accounted by itself. That cost is estimated to be $2.5 million this year. Again, the associated revenue, that parcel tax is $1 million. And so we're always, we're starting the year knowing that we're upside down in paramedic services, about $1.5 million. And public safety admins in there. There's some public works, some maintenance costs that are pushed into that public safety fund related to public safety that are pushed in there. All the actuals are low. We're going to hit our number on all of the actuals. The reason that there's the lag is the invoices. There's a delay in receiving those invoices. We get quarterlies from fire and paramedic, and monthlies from police, and there's just a lag on the administrative for us to receive those invoices. And so they're starting to flow in after publishing. We're getting caught up, and while it's bad for the bank account, The actuals as we work through the year we're going to hit our budget numbers on those. One other thing with fire protection, that $10 million, it's a significant component that's in there, is the 2 engines that were procured have not been delivered. We'll see the expenses for those upon delivery, but there was a year, maybe 2, build out on those, and so hopefully we're, about a year away? About a year away from recognizing that, but that budget's sitting there until they're delivered, and then we'll show the costs associated with them. But it's grossed up a little bit. We don't have $10.7 million in operating for fire because we've got $2.5 million of capital that's just waiting for delivery of those engines. Okay.
What's public safety admin?
Public safety admin is, we have 2 personnel. We have a public safety manager that is coded to public safety admin, and we have a assistant to the fire chief that's also coded to public safety admin. So it's those salaries and benefits as well as that division's operational budgeting costs.
And then public works, is that our rangers? Or what is that? Public
No, that's an allocation of maintenance associated with the sheriff's, with the building, primarily.
Thank you.
We are on track with all of the budget here, where staff does not have any recommendations to modify the scope of the public safety fund budget. All right, so to bring it all back together, a lot of detail thrown at you there. This graph is intended to make it a little bit easier to digest. So this is an excerpt, a snippet from our adopted budget. So back in June, in our digital budget book, we had this graph. This is part of that graph. This is our all fund summary. So this is, the top row is our general fund, second row is the public safety fund, and really the key number is all the way on the right, that's 0. 0 means balanced. So we're working from the left to the right, inflows, outflows, revenues, expenditures. We want a 0 on that right-hand side, that means we're balanced. And so our goal was to deliver a balanced budget. You adopted a balanced budget. That's in our adopted budget book. As I mentioned before, once we adopt, as we're going through the year, there's amendments that are brought to you that are approved as we go through. And so up until tonight, this is where we stand as far as those amendments. So ignore the X, I'm just crossing that out, nothing to see there. And I changed the revenues and transfers into inflows. Expenditures and transfers out are outflows. And so as amended, in the general fund, we've got $44 million of inflows budgeted and $43 million of outflows budgeted up until tonight. And so we've got a budgetary surplus of about $600,000 in the general fund. In the public safety fund, we have amended inflows of $30,500,000, amended outflows of $31,600,000. So we have a budgetary deficit of $1.1 million. So we've got roughly a $500,000 net budgetary deficit up until tonight of those. And that's reflective of what was adopted and then all the amendments along the way. Some of the more significant amendments, other than the ones we've talked about, are we've got an election coming up. There's a $200,000 adjustment or amendment for that. Back when we were talking about 4th of July, there was a $60,000 spending authorization associated with that. And there was another significant one. We talked about the fire, the maintenance costs, things like that, that we're also amending up until tonight, already authorized. All right. And then based on what we've talked about tonight, assuming that council went with staff's recommendations on these things, this is where we would land, those inflows and outflows. The general fund would be at a budgetary surplus of $2 million, and we have that same budgetary deficit of public safety. The way this works as we close everything out is those are treated as one. And so we have a net budgetary surplus of $900,000, assuming that the staff recommendations are adopted this evening. As we talk about budgetary surplus, budgetary deficit, our goal this year was budgetary balance. We met that goal. as we start talking about long-term financial plans, municipal spending, municipal costs naturally outpace increases in revenue. And so wherever we are, unless there's a new revenue stream, like if there's a new Measure S, holding all things equal, costs are gonna run faster than revenues can catch them. And so a one-year budget is not necessarily a bad thing to have a surplus in the budget, because as we roll into, we're starting to compile the budget for next year. As we do that, naturally, we already know our public safety costs are gonna go up much higher than our sales tax numbers are gonna go up. And so we're gonna get closer naturally. If we have a surplus, we're gonna naturally start catching it. And so there was no recommendation to do anything with the budgetary surplus. By not having a recommendation to use that surplus, effectively what the recommendation is to, hey, roll that into reserves, and then as we figure out the spending plan and the service levels going into next year, if we're gonna come back and do a robust business license program, the costs associated with that, we can figure that all out with next year's budget, next year's spending plan, and just kind of let that surplus ride. So there's no stated recommendation of what to do with that surplus. The non-stated was, it's okay to have it. We're not only balanced this year, we've got a budgetary surplus this year, and we've got a lot of things to figure out how to fund going into next year's budget. So that's what I've got with the budget. Moving away from the budget, there's also in this item a couple of contract amendments. These don't have a budget impact, but there's 4 of them. One is relating to pest management contract. It's a amendment to that contract. And then we also have an amendment for 3 contracts related to on-call services. We'd like to hold those at $20,000 just in case something happens. We'd like to replenish those at mid-year back up to that $20,000 threshold. Again, no budget impact. It's already baked into the numbers in the budget. It's strictly a procurement item. This is a copy of what's in your packet as far as the staff recommendations go. And that concludes my presentation, and we are more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, well, thank you. Bob, you want to start us off?
I'd love to, thank you. Phil and Dr. Moore and staff, great job. The news is a lot better than it was a few years ago, so balance was key, and you did. The mid-year adjustments, after listening to mid-year adjustments for the last 30 years, it's really modest what you're doing. It's good. They're all doable. I think the fact that we had a lot of salary savings, I'm sure we're gonna come back at budget time. Are we gonna fill the assistant city manager? Are we gonna fill I think, you know, some of the planning division needs some help right now. Some of these other places are gonna have to be filled, which I think, Dr. Moore, you said you're already working on it, right? From what I understand.
That's correct, Mayor and Council.
So it's gonna look a little different when you come back for budget on positions on what we're gonna do. I agree with you, public safety costs will go up. We know that. That's why we try to do other things to create some revenue that's just basically for services. I'm glad that I would suggest any overage we have, just put it in reserves for now until we, you know, have to make a decision. I think budget time is gonna look a little different if we stick to the strategic plan that we want to enact. That part of that is a financial strategic plan. So it gives you and the staff a little more direction of where we're gonna spend over time. I think it's important to do that from a finance perspective, because where are the priorities? And then you're ahead. You know, you're going to be ahead of what we're going to try to do as a council. Obviously, public safety is a priority to the council. We talked about positions in traffic. They're not fully. I don't think you're fully funded or fully staffed yet. You have people on training still, Captain. So we're not right there. We have open positions. There's salary savings. But in the end, I think it's a good report for a mid-year report, actually. Mid-year looks good. Reserves, I wrote. Traffic will change that. 82. Let's see, vacant positions. I had already made a note about. The only thing we were talking on the revenue side, I didn't bring it up in the other presentation, is, you know, how we get our goods nowadays have changed. You know, I don't necessarily, you know, I mean, how many in the room get Amazon delivered? Probably every day. When you think about revenue, you know, it's probably something, I know we have a referendum and some things gonna happen, But, you know, Dr. Moore, I know he's talked to some of the council, and I've talked to him about certain businesses that are geared that way for delivery of services that you order. I mean, I'm probably most everybody in this room does. That's the new economy. And you know, we'll have to figure that out someday. How do you capture some of that to pay for the public safety costs that are go up? We love our public safety. Clearly, this council is very strong on that, especially this guy sitting next to me right here. And, you know, cars go up, weapons go up, vests go up, radios go up, everything goes up. The only other thing I didn't see demarked was, like, for Trevor's unit, you have administrative fines that you can bring in as revenue. I didn't see what that number was. I missed it in here if there was. We'll probably project that for next, when we do next year's budget on what we think the admin fines are going to be. I think right now Trevor's been working on compliance more than fines to get the work done, to get people compliant with the issues that we have on complaints. But at some point, you're going to have repeat offenders that you're going to have admin fines. There'll be a little money in that, I'm sure, too, as you look at everything we do. You know, overall, there was such a cloud for the last couple of years that I kept hearing about our budget and all the issues and why did they do the public safety tax and all these issues. Well, this is why. This is why, so we can stay whole for now. As the finance director said, though, we're not going to catch up unless we figure out what we're going to do for some of the cost. And I think that's part of the financial strategic plan that the council will have to wrestle with over that, of what direction we want to go. So I just want to compliment you and the staff and Dr. Moore and everybody getting in and doing a great mid-year budget report. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just one. And I think the future's bright if we stay on this path. You know, you say inflows, outflows, I think, you know, revenue and expenditures. But I mean, if the community understands, everything we bring in is to provide services for our community. And we even upgrade some software issues to make things more efficient, whether it's in planning or in the clerk's office. That's all good stuff. We have to keep up with technology. But I don't want to rest on our laurels too much because costs will go up. And that's just reality of being in public business. But I think you got a good handle on it. And I really like the way your team's coalesced with Dr. Moore coming in, and you guys have, you know, rolled your sleeves up and figured out where we need to go from here. So that's a compliment to all of you guys and our council for giving, you know, I don't think we ask for too much at times. We're just asking for little things here and there, but it has to be within budget. We understand that. But I want to speak for everybody else, but I'm sure we're always going to be strong in public safety, and you have to think about it in terms of, you have other employees in the city that think, okay, we need help too. We need more planners. We need more of this. We need more in our division. We need more division in community development. I know the council is very strong on public safety, but we have to also consider what the other divisions are going to think over time too. We have to make everybody whole as we can with the revenue that comes in, and then we're going to have tough choices. You're talking about YPAC, and I keep thinking, do we have to have somebody run that for us? If it's really less shows, less stuff, or is that our thing to run that? The YPAC's beautiful. It's a beautiful facility. I personally, I'm sure folks in the room love going to it, and there's great things that happen. But are we getting our best bang for our buck efficiently by us running it? And I know Megan is busy with the many other things we have her doing. So what is that piece at budget going to come back of how we manage that in the future? Maybe there's a revenue stream that we don't realize if it's, you know, I don't know who the professional entertainment folks are, but if that's even a piece that we could look at. I'm happy with what, you know, where our people work hard, no doubt about it, but maybe there's another piece there too as we look forward. And then as we talk about reserves, we'll probably always think from the old, you know, Gordon Graham, you know, if it's predictable, it's preventable. So we have to be ready for things that could happen. I mean, look where we live, fire zone, all the issues. So there always can be some other monies we're going to need. That's why we need to have a robust reserve, even though we get a lot of things reimbursed if we do it properly with emergency management, et cetera, have the right training, the documents, understand how to do it. So there's more to running a city in finance than just, okay, we want to spend money on this and that. It's about keeping it balanced, which you've done as a staff, which the council's asked you to do. And I know the council is very serious about this in the past, and I think we should be thankful that we're doing it the right way now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Beaver?
Hey, Fermin, how many of those 20% vacancy rate is in Public Works? Do you know? Do we have are you guys running a vacancy right now?
In Public Works, I believe there's 3, maybe 4. But in Development Services, including planning, there's others in there also.
Okay. The reason why I said 3, specifically Public Works, is according to our app, our response time is 4.5 days for city roads and city issues. I'm okay with doing less with more, but not at the cost of a sacrificed service, like Bob said. Everything we do, if we have to understand that we're cutting something, it's cutting a service. And 4.5 days for a city roads issue could be a public safety issue. If it's a big enough pothole or there's an issue, we need to talk about that. So 100%, we have had this community or the city with the mantra of you need to do more with less. But at some point we need to also realize that we are robbing our community of services by doing that at times. 4.5 days is an example of that. I'd also be willing, I'd like to know this as we talk about the bucket truck. Having a piece of equipment that's 26 years old, it's probably costing us more money just to keep that thing in service. And so while I'm not a fan of buying used equipment, we need to be fiscally responsible. And if this is what staff recommends, is that we buy a, how would you say it was 5-year-old vehicle? I'd like to have a plan of how long we plan on keeping that though. I don't want to have that little girl Emery be the mayor up here in 30 years and we still have that same truck that we bought in 2026, because we're probably going to be spending money on that trying to, who am I kidding? It's a diesel truck. California won't even have diesel trucks in it'll be banned by the time that happens. But even still, the fact is holding on to a piece of equipment that's costing us more money to maintain than it is to just get a new one. It doesn't make sense to me. And how many times is this 4.5 days response time because that bucket truck wasn't available to fix a light or something, right? So I'm not saying we should go out and spend all of our money on brand new shiny equipment, but at the same time, I think there should be. We had the conversation with relative to the Bank Corp is not holding on to old antiquated equipment and just keeping a fresh cycle of the newest technology, the newest fuel efficiency, the newest warranties is a benefit to that. And I don't know how we calculate that to a dollar amount. I'm sure, Phil, I'm sure the folks in your department could probably do that. But from my seat, I don't like antiquated equipment. There's at least there was a Ford Ranger with the city logo peeling off it parked at the community center with a busted window. It just looks bad. We have a city vehicle that's just it should be towed, right? It's an abandoned piece of equipment, just happened to be on city property, so we let it be. Equipment that works is what we want. Councilman Miller said something that was important, that I didn't cue onto until now, but it's something we certainly need to talk about. We find ourselves, I think, twice in 2024, maybe 3 times, we declared some kind of emergency relative to either fire or a weather disaster. I think it was Katrina. Is that her name? No. Hillary. Katrina was in New Orleans. Hillary was one that ravished Yucaipa. We do need to have a structured emergency management team that is able to seek out those, declare the emergencies, get the reimbursements, work with our federal partners to have that stuff there. But we don't really have, we have a strong public safety department, but I think we need to truly, we declared one of our goals is to be more prepared for disaster and emergencies. But then we didn't do anything about it as a council. We said do it, but we gave you no money. We gave you no resources to be successful with it. Shame on us. How do we say you city staff, you need to be more prepared for disaster? Figure it out, because we're not going to give you any money or any resources to do that with. That was a I think it was a good idea, and maybe it should have came back to us for funding, but it didn't for one way or I think it did, and then we shot it down. I would like to see in the next fiscal year, number one, I'm going to say it like I said at the beginning of our council meeting tonight, I'm going to highlight our city's failure as it relates to not having a prepared fire department in the south end of our city, having them work 30 calls for service in 72 in a 24-hour period. I guarantee you, not one of those medical aid calls takes less than an hour. It probably takes a lot more than that. So these guys are not sleeping, which means we're leaning on Beaumont, we're leaning on Calamasa. Question, when you mentioned we get reimbursed for any time our apparatus is loaned out, do we reimburse anytime another apparatus comes into our city? Do we pay money when Beaumont or Calamasa rolls into our city to handle a medical because we weren't prepared for it?
No, so the reimbursement is when we're on large like state and federal incidents or covers. So we'll cover, a lot of times we'll cover our type 3 at our Yucaipa station for the state.
Sure.
And we get reimbursed for that. We don't get reimbursed for personnel because they're all CAL FIRE employees.
Gotcha.
No, where we run into that with Calamasa, and we're kind of there now because not in that numbers, they're running 700 calls a year. They're running 2 calls a day for us in 53's area on top of 51 running into 53's area. So they're subsidizing our service because it's supposed to be reciprocal, and we're not running the same amount of calls into Calamasa.
Are they sending us an invoice?
No.
Do we anticipate they're going to start at some point?
No, because it's a reciprocal service. We're willing to
tell
go into
Tim.
their area. We're just not, they don't have the call volume, we have it, so.
Well, I appreciate the city of Calamasa funding our emergency services. Thank you. Good night. So certainly, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to make it. It's going to be uncomfortable because we all the people in this room, especially at the city staff and at the city council level, we got to do better. We can't keep we can't keep taking advantage of Calamasa like that. It makes me laugh because they've always been our like little sister city that's never really prepared for anything, and here they are bailing us out at times. Anyway, that and emergency management, Dr. Moore. I know we talked about it in our public safety ad hoc. We don't have an I mean, I think Trevor's our declared emergency manager, but he's also our declared public safety manager, and he's our declared code enforcement manager. And holy cow, how many more hats are we going to shove on a guy? Good news is he doesn't have a lot of hair to push those hats off. So, Trev, good job. Good. I'm glad to see this at mid-year. We're doing good. We're tracking the right direction. Phil, outstanding work from your team on the finance side. Just keep it up, and we'll see what our new fiscal year looks like for our budgeting goals at least. So thanks.
Thank you, Deputy.
Okay,
Ms. Woolsey?
I just have a question. Bob, in regards to the bucket truck, were you for use? Is that what you're recommending?
I'm sorry, say it again.
For the bucket truck, were you considering the used truck?
I actually think we should get a new one, but yeah, I'll go with, I mean, maybe we should discuss that because 5 years is not a long time, but somebody's had it 5 years. I would just think we should probably start fresh because it's not the greatest position. Or, I just think we should get a new one, but it's money. We're okay right now, mid-year, but I would suggest just get a new one. Didn't know what you guys felt. Maybe we could talk about it a little bit.
Okay, Justin, I thought you were saying used, but did you go the other way?
So, listen, what I said was I'm not for buying used. I don't think it's a good idea. Now, I'm willing to discuss it as a council, and certainly was this, I got to know, Fermin, was it your idea to buy used, or was this Phil's idea to buy used? Because I guarantee you, those two gentlemen probably have a different opinion on the matter. The guy with the checkbook wants us to buy used. The guy who's going to be using it might want us to buy new.
It was Fermin's idea. If you don't like it, it was Fermin's idea. There was a lot of consideration. There's always a lot of consideration when we're procuring something that's north of $100,000. This particular piece of equipment is a specialized piece of equipment that gets a lot of use. We've got 245,000 miles on ours. It's 26 years old. But for a bucket truck, that's a lot of miles for a bucket truck. But it's 26 years old and it's got 250,000 miles on it. And so we were looking at it. If you can get one that's for 70% of the sticker for a handful of years, and you're going to have it for another 2 decades. Okay, and so there's multiple options. But if we were to look at those and say, okay, staff is recommending one, we went with that one. Certainly, it's a bucket truck. There's the lift. There's a safety consideration on that. What happened with the other owner? Is there any issues? Why are they getting rid of it after a couple of years? All of those we're evaluating. We will not be. We have thick skin. If you said nope, let's go with the new one, we won't be offended in the slightest.
So, those are great questions, right? Why are they getting rid of it? But at the same time, I don't think we should hold on to it. Even if we buy a brand new one, I think you should lean on the bank, not for the lease. I agree, but they also have a competitive auction house at their disposal. So in 5 years from now, we might be in that situation where we say, hey, you know what? Let's maintain this warranty. Or let's get another one. Let's auction this off at public auction. Let's find out who's out there. Maybe Calamasa needs a used bucket truck. We can pawn off our bucket truck to them, and we'll get a new one again. I don't want to have this spot where we're in possession of a 30-year-old bucket truck that's a safety issue potentially. For me, you might have been here. Did we buy that bucket truck brand new, or was that a used purchase on its own?
It was 2 years old when we bought it. It was used.
We buy used stuff. I'm not for buying used stuff. I think that there's a like Councilman Miller said, what did the other guy do with it? Was it maintained? Because I know people who don't maintain their stuff at all. So.
Okay, thank you. I would be in favor of going with a used truck. I never bought a new vehicle in my life, and I've always felt that, they depreciate so quickly and everything. If we can get a good used truck at a good price, I think that's the way we should go there. I do have a question, Phil. The general fund expenditure status by department slide, it wasn't in our folder. I'd like to have that. Can you email that out to the council?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Be sent out tonight.
Okay. That's me.
All right. So, you know me, I see the value of a 2-year-old bucket truck that's still sold from a dealership that has a warranty, has everything that you need for a substantial amount less. I'm all for safety, 100% for safety. I don't want anybody ever hurt in our, in our city or anything like that and stuff. But for a 2-year-old truck, like what we bought back then, you're saving so much money. Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it's a smarter idea on
Was it 2
our
years?
part. It was 2 years old when we, that's not what you said?
Yeah, but this one.
The one that we currently have was 2 years old when we bought it. The ones that we found after doing research are anywhere between 4 and 6 years old.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And what kind of mileage?
There's a 2020 model that has about 1,000 miles on it, so less than 2,500 miles.
Right. See, and that's actually extremely good. So, and it comes with warranty and everything like that and stuff. It still comes with warranty. See, that's what I'm for. You save a little bit of money now and stuff. What would a new one cost, roughly? 175,000. So we're saving basically $100,000 by going used for 4 or 5 years old, 20,000 miles. Probably been up in the air maybe handful of times. So I'm for used, but I'm in the construction business and we buy used all the time. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, but Councilman Miller touched on Amazon's and the taxes. We've been down this road one time before. We talked about that at one point. I think when Chris Mann was here. The taxes on Amazon products coming into our town. Now, Walmart is getting just as big as Amazon as far as their packages coming to our city as well. So are we capturing any of that, or how do we?
So the interesting thing about Measure S, it gives us data that we never had any clue about. So going back to the issues of, we didn't know what to expect with Measure S because it was 1%, so we benchmarked the Bradley Burns component, 6 million. What we've been finding is for every dollar of Bradley Burns, we're getting about $1.50 of Measure S sales tax, which tells me that there's a whole lot of online sales occurring in the city of Yucaipa. And so, which makes sense because there's not a lot of brick and mortar opportunity, but there's certainly commerce, and it's being delivered, and we're picking up, like I said, for every dollar, about $1.50 on the Measure S side. And so while I don't know specifically to Amazon or Walmart or any of those, there's a significant amount of e-commerce being delivered in the city of Yucaipa, and that shows up in our Measure S revenue stream.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Yeah, so that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk back about as well. So, so we need a motion? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, in the bucket truck, I don't know anything about a bucket truck. I know police cars, but not bucket trucks. So with most decisions we make about people that, when we're funding equipment and stuff like that, I always want to make sure we're talking to the people that actually have to use the equipment and what their feeling is of what they actually need, rather than leaders or managers making decisions on the equipment that they're going to have to use. It's no different than in anything we do. We should have those folks involved in the decision-making process when we do a roundtable on it or something. Okay, what would work best for you considering the following circumstances? I don't know if we reached out to our employees to ask an expert in this. I don't know if Scott's here, but they know more than we would know. So we want to base our decision on what works best for them over time. I can't believe we had that truck that long, to be honest with you. But, they're the experts. You're just asking us to consider it. I'll just be honest, I'm naive about bucket trucks, but I should ask questions. And did the end user, are they the ones that told us, no, we need this, and this is why we need it, and make the case so you guys could talk about it a little bit to recommend to us?
We certainly we leaned on Scott quite a bit on speccing it out, what would work, what would not. We leaned on Scott a lot, and so I share your lack of knowledge about bucket trucks. And as we went through the process to say what works, what doesn't, what are the specs necessary, how tall does the boom need to be, like how high are we going? The one that we're speccing out now is actually taller than the one that we have because we have limited use and we'd like to be able to use it for more. And so as we were putting together, this is what we need. Scott was key in saying, this is what works, this is what doesn't. If you asked the gentleman that's normally standing in the bucket, he might say that he'd like a little bit more input on what we do so that he doesn't get stuck so high up. But yeah, Scott was imperative as we were doing our due diligence for this one.
And if I can add to that, we did ask the gentleman who is in that bucket, and there was 3 things that they had requested. One was obviously the safety equipment. The second was the articulating arm, and the third thing was over a 42-foot reach, which is what we were specking out for the truck.
Did part of that, I'm sorry, Mayor, was part of that conversation, could you live with a new truck, or do you need could we do a 5-year-old truck? Was that part of the discussion, or were they like, no, either one will fine, or?
It was part of the discussion. I think they were more than happy to have the opportunity to use something that wasn't a 2000 model. So they were happy with a newer, either a brand new truck or something that's 4 to 6 years old.
So do we need a motion just on the bucket truck by itself first?
Everything.
You need a mayor and council, we need a motion on all the items that are outlined there.
If you go write down the recommendations, the staff recommendations, it would approve the used bucket truck as well as the 15,000 and 7,000 for the general services.
Okay.
You want to make that motion?
So do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the staff recommendation.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, guys. Now for number 12, Vanna.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Item number 12 tonight is the discussion of city commissions and committees. Tonight, we're asking that the City Council review the roster for city commissions committees and discuss their structure and advise me of any changes. Excuse me, if you turn to page 145 of your agenda packet, you'll see outlined the known challenges and context for the City Council's evaluation. This is all based on the questions and comments received over time. So some of the things that we're asking you to consider tonight are the number of members on any given committee, right? We're asking that you consider changing some of these even number committees to odd numbers. We're asking you to look at budgets for commissions and committees. There have been some questions that have been raised over why some committees receive a budget while others don't. We're asking you to look at the roles and responsibilities. We'd like for you to clearly define some of the roles and responsibilities for some of the committees. So specifically vector control, mobile home park committee, some of these committees meet on a very minimal basis. And so council might consider changing them to ad hocs or dissolving them. The finance committee, we're asking that you look at the structure of the finance committee and clearly outline what the role is of the finance committee. The public safety committee, that is currently an ad hoc, but our deputy mayor did request that turn to a standing committee. And so we're asking for you to define the roles of that committee, and then we can talk about setting the dates and times of those meetings. We're also asking that you look at some of the overlap of the commissions and committees. We have a Park and Recreation Commission, and we might have some committees that have overlapping duties. And so we're asking that you look at that specifically. The city is currently in the process of updating the rules and procedures for the conduct of commissions and committees, and your input tonight will help shape that resolution. That resolution is something that's coming before you at a future city council meeting. So what I'd like to do is go down the list. This is something that we do on an annual basis. So we'll go down the list of ad hoc committees. Council can let me know if the ad hoc committee is something that you wish to remain on that roster, and then who you would like to see on that ad hoc committee. Once we're done with the ad hocs, then we can move into our citizen advisory committees, and we'll go into a little bit more detail there for each committee. Before I go down these lists, we do have public comment. We have 2 comments on this item. If council would like to hear that first, or I can, okay. All right, so
Yes,
we'll
please.
start with Hanson Wong, followed by Donna Snodgrass.
Samuel Hanson Wong in Yucaipa. I think making it easier not to have a tied vote sounds like a great thing. Reflecting on the trails and the parks and rec committees, they do have their own function, even though they overlap somewhat. And to combine them, I think would increase the amount of time that they would have to spend with the stuff that they can do separately. I don't think any of us enjoy any longer meetings than we absolutely have to have. So I still see a purpose in each of the 2 to be separated, and that if there is an overlap, that the city staff can guide them a little bit to stay focused on the areas that they need to be. So I personally feel that that particular set should stay separate because of the functions and the direction that they actually go. Thank you.
Sir, you said that was Health Yucaipa and Trails and Open Spaces?
It's Trails and Open Space and Parks and Rec that they were trying to, because they do have some similar functions, but if we want to separate it out, we can look at the duties that they actually have and say, okay, why don't you focus on this area and your other one focus on the other area? But that's only my personal opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Donna Snodgrass.
Good evening, Council. I wasn't sure until Anna started talking what the thoughts were regarding this item or exactly why it was on the agenda. But I think Anna's on the same track that I am, that I've been thinking. I've had the pleasure of serving on 2 different committees, one ad hoc, one standing, and also the Planning Commission. And I've made some observations over the last couple of years that I'd like to share about all the committees in general. And I honestly, I'm not being critical, but I know it's going to sound that way. I just can't think of any other way to put what I want to share tonight. So please forgive me if it sounds like I am. So each committee and commission must be important to this city because the city created them, made nominations, and voted on the appointments to fill all the seats. All of them can provide valuable information, suggestions, and advice to this body. Each committee and commission provides unique insights from the citizen volunteers serving on them. And for every person on that committee or commission, there is a different perspective to what can or should be done to help the city. But there seems to be somewhat of a lax attitude towards most of the committees. The people who were interested enough to apply, and you were interested enough to appoint them, but after that, I've noticed that the actual attendance for these committees are not very good, and the vacancy rate seems to be high. The turnover rate seems to be higher than what maybe should be. But after hearing what Mr. White said earlier, it seems that the vacancy rate in the entire city staff plays along with this as well. So there could be another issue that I don't even know about. So there are committee members who have missed several meetings, and in a couple of cases, they've never attended a single meeting after being appointed. Even some city council representatives who volunteered for the liaison position of these don't come to all of the meetings or any at all, depending on the committee. Also, there have never been any reports from the committees to the council, except Dr. Wong gets 3 minutes when he speaks in public comment. So I assume the council member assigned would have made a report after each committee meeting, but that's not happening. It would be nice to have a little more interest or excitement about what is being done by everyone who takes the time to serve, starting with the council all the way down to the chairs and the members of the committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more?
I have no more comments on this item, so if it's okay with the council, we'll start and we'll go down the list of our ad hoc committees.
Okay.
Okay,
Mayor.
and then,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Comment before she gets going.
Yeah.
I think we should wait till Councilmember Thorpe is available for these, or to at least discuss them. He's not here tonight. We can hold this till next meeting, in my opinion,
absolutely.
if you're okay with that. I mean, he should have some input, if that's okay with the rest of the council.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can we
continue this
table
to the-
this?
Yeah,
So
next city council meeting?
in preparation for that, if I may though, just so we don't completely, I mean, I don't want to discount what was said tonight and certainly then invite the speakers back to speak again when it comes back. But when it comes back, if we could just a little bit more for the staff report, let's clearly define the difference between a committee member and a commissioner. What authority is vested in a commissioner versus a committee member?
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a, by statute, a difference. One of them holds authority and can actually make decisions for the city as appointed by the council. And then I'd also like some historical data about some of these committees, if you could please, specifically the Trails Open Spaces. I want to know the genesis of that committee, if it was born of the council or born of the Parks and Recs Commission. It seems to be, in reading some information on open access on the internet, the Yucaipa Parks and Recreation Commission is a 6-member advisory body, 5 appointed by the council members, 1 student member, which I think has never been filled as long as I've been on the council, that recommends policies for city parks, trails, and recreational facilities. Given that, I'd like to know if that Trails and Open Spaces Committee was born of the council or of the commission, so we can make a determination moving forward on that. Please. Donna, you nailed it right on the head there. And I will say, for as much as I think I earned a place on her bad side, Diane Smith still sits as my golden standard for a commissioner appointed by me. Without fail, following every Parks and Recs Commission meeting, I would receive a detailed dissertation as to what happened during that meeting. She would give me her input as to what she voted for, why she voted for it, and then seek information from me. no other commissioner planning or otherwise has done that, but certainly that was something that I valued as a councilman, that I had a commissioner who was keeping me very well informed as things progressed for those commissions. I don't want to speak for the rest of my colleagues up here, but in order to attend it's impossible for me to attend all these meetings and committee members, the committee meetings. I can only imagine how much extra work is added to our city staff, liaisoning these for the council at our direction. So I'd also like, if you could please incorporate something relative to how much staff time and tie to a dollar amount, please.
Absolutely.
We spend on our staff's involvement on these committees, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. The one robust report, I like that word we're using tonight, is we did hear from the Measure S committee. They gave us 2 detailed reports. Mr. Franklin came up. So there is an example of good reports out to the entire council with a codified report. I mean, I thought that was good. So we have done it, and I know there's the other committees. I'll agree with the deputy mayor on that. But for my 2 cents.
There are 3 committees that receive money, and I would like to know what that money's used for and how it's accounted for. You know, that type of information I think would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? I have a, can I?
Oh, sorry.
That's it.
I wasn't sure if we needed to vote on it.
Excuse me. You know what I'd like to see is each one of us have one of our appointees, and we've appointed them ourselves, and then now we have a vote. When I first got on the dais, it was, I wanted this person on my committee, Trails and Open Spaces. I had Lenny LaRocco and his wife, and it was my choice, and it was done. I don't know if we voted for, I don't remember us voting for that. I think it was my choice on each one of the committees, just like the Park and Recreation, the Planning Department, and I'd like to see that we get back to where you have a choice, you want somebody there, it's your choice. You did that, we voted. I don't think that we voted back then. We did? So,
Like a Senate confirmation hearing. You appoint somebody and then they get grilled by the Senate.
Yeah, but I don't think that anybody had questioned anybody, you know, when you,
No, we didn't, not last year. We just voted, you know, we didn't question them.
We
like
just-
we did when Bob was appointed.
I'm sorry?
Her microphone's not on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mine wasn't.
So,
I said, I just remember from last year that when we went through all the committees, we each nominated someone, we voted, but we didn't question them as to why they wanted to be on the committee. They had submitted their applications.
I think what the mayor is referring to is wanting to have an appointment instead of a nomination.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
Absolutely. So that's actually something that we can include as part of the resolution. So the resolution, currently it's 2025-01 that rules the conduct of commissions and committees. And so that talks about membership and vacancies and goals and things like that. And so we can absolutely update that if there's a consensus from the council. What I'd like to do is bring this item back, and then once we have the direction from the council, then we'll move forward with updating that resolution. We do have quite a bit of the information that you've requested tonight. We do have that readily available, but if it's okay with the city council, I'd like to push this to the second meeting in March, just to allow us enough time to meet with our liaisons and make sure that we're covering everything that you've asked for.
Okay. Are we okay with that?
Yes, Mayor, I think it's a good idea.
Do we need a vote on it?
Just a consensus would be great.
So are you okay?
Hold on a second. I gotta check my calendar. I don't know if I'm gonna be here the second meeting in March. Oh no, I come back. I may not go. It's in Cabo, and Mexico's a disaster right now. I should be good, though. We should be all right. If I don't make it back from Mexico because of the cartel, then you'll know why. All right. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
All right, so we'll move to,
March 23rd.
okay.
Perfect,
All
thank
right,
you so much.
perfect. All right, well, thank you, guys. Now, does any council member have any business to report or comments?
You want me to
Goldie?
start?
Yep.
Phil, you're going to be disappointed because it was kind of a slow 2 weeks. February the 12th was the Metro Valley study session. The 17th was the Water District. The 20th was the ribbon cutting at the 7-Eleven, and that was fun. They had music, and yeah, it was a good time. I did listen to the Planning Commission meeting the other evening, and I want to compliment Ben for the presentation that he did on for the housing workshop. That was very good. I recorded that separately so I could do an AI summary on it. So now I have that, and I'm looking forward to more of those, and hoping that maybe at some point we can do something for the council too, that would be informative. The only suggestion I would have is if we could make it a little more, I forgot the word, user-friendly, not user-friendly, but down to earth, you know what I'm trying to say, more on my level, please. But it was really good. And then last time too, I don't know if the council remembers when Dennis Miller got up and made a comment about a suggestion in forming a committee to help in regards to trends in the city. We didn't really discuss that at all. He threw it out there and we just kind of listened. Would there be a consensus from the council to maybe have something like that presented, have him work on that?
Yeah, so I think knowledge is power, so if there's something out there that we can benefit from, I'm not opposed to it. I think where my reluctancy comes in, it wasn't so much the trends as much as he was talking about the discussion about service stations and gas car washes and what businesses can succeed, and that's fine. I don't mind hearing about it, but I think my perspective of the matter is more about planning, about our city's layout and planning, long-term planning, instead of we're not going to get involved. We're just going to turn a blind eye to whatever development happens, and if it happens, it happens. That's not planning. That's the opposite of planning. That's just letting things happen. And we have a planner. Our city manager has a background in planning. I think we need to do a better job of planning what our footprint is going to look like, and which is why I'm adamant that it doesn't make sense to put car wash next to car wash next to car wash. It doesn't make sense. So I'm not opposed to it, but I still don't think it's going to fix our broader issue of I don't think we really do a good job at planning. We just, whatever shows up, we'll just let it happen.
Well, I think, and maybe I misinterpreted, but I think that's kind of what he was referring to kind of help educate. We talked about Amazon just a few minutes ago and online shopping. So like he said, that changes everything, I think he was just trying to maybe help us understand the type of businesses that could be brought in that would be helpful to our public. And so I just thought it might be something worth looking into.
Yep.
Just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got the gist of what Planning Commissioner Miller was saying. But I think also we have to remember, we go to a lot of seminars. We go to Cal Cities. We go to all these we go to County San Bernardino every year. We go to the big seminar. We hear economists tell us about what the economy is. We have a lot of a lot of things sent to us about what the current trends of the economy is, what the current trends on buildings going to be. We do get that data. I don't know, maybe the Planning Commissioner wasn't aware of that, but I think he was looking at it from a real estate perspective, is what I got out of it. He can explain it next time I see him, I'll ask him, but it was more of a real estate, you guys need to know what's going on kind of thing. So I didn't know if he was speaking as a planning commissioner or a realtor or what was going on, but we do get information from a lot of the professional organizations that we're tied into. I mean, at seminars we've attended, and we listen to an economist tell us what the next 20 years are going to look like, whether it's trends in housing, trends in retail, trends in what community is going to, even climate change they talk about, wherever we feel about that. But I mean, all them trends are discussed with us over time of what the future looks from a business standpoint of the professionals we go listen to. I have no problem with listening to anybody in our community who wants to get us to get together and come to a meeting and listen. Will listen. Knowledge is power, like the deputy mayor said. But I got out of that is like we didn't get any information from. We have a lot of sources. Dr. Moore was shaking his head. Yes, maybe he could comment on that a little bit. We have many resources to see what the economic forecast is going to be for our community and the county. Anything you want to comment on that, or did I open up the door there?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, we do have ample, I send you guys things, I think, daily updates.
Yeah,
And
you do.
there's a lot of information out there, maybe a little too much information. They need to dissect it a little more, but there's plenty of resources out there that we can, disseminate and give out and provide. And also, if the council wants to set up a special committee or ad hoc, that's certainly up to your purview. If that's something you want to look at down the road, we can certainly.
Well, the thing I've noticed, like from Cal Cities, yeah, it's great. There's a lot of information and everything that I've gone to. There's a lot of information. I think what Dennis was getting to is more local. And that's what I picked up on it. I could have misread it somewhere, but it's just more local information. So it's, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Mr. Miller?
I'm not against another ad hoc to go discover that. I mean, knowledge is power. I just didn't want it left out there like we didn't get any economic forecast of what's happening
I
in the
get
future.
that. I
We
would
do
just-
that.
yeah.
That's part of our job. So maybe that wasn't the intent. I'll be glad to ask him next time I see him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm for any knowledge we can get.
All right, do you have any business reports or anything?
No, I've talked a lot tonight, and let's see. Valley Elementary, their leadership in me, the lighthouse school that they are, which took a lot for them to get codified as that. It's a great event. If you haven't been to it, I hope you can come. They do a morning entry, breakfast. They have community leaders from all over, and it's all driven by the students. It's not, the faculty there driving it. It's all student-driven. As you saw the two students get up here in front of the council and all these people, it's hard to do that, but they've learned this Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, obviously, and what that is makes them better citizens, but it teaches them to have ownership of their own school. And you get to see that if you go to these events they host. So I hope we can make it. I hope a couple of us can go. The coffee's good. They usually have, some unhealthy thing like donuts or something. But I mean, it's just a nice event because it's all driven by the students. It's just, and you see the best and the brightest. You can, Deputy Mayor was saying maybe that's a future council. Maybe it's a future. I'd caution against it, but maybe there's a future. They want to do something great in life. Fire chief, police chief, whatever it is. It's just a great event, and it's not all day. It's pretty. They have a tight window, and you don't have to spend a lot of time. So I encourage us to go. It's a wonderful program. Thank you. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, sir.
So I just want to announce my grandfather for his 90th birthday jumped out of an airplane. He's now the oldest jumper from the Elsinore jump area.
I seen that.
That's my grandfather. So if you are on the Yucaipa Bulletin, take a look at that. Chuck Bailey jumped out of an airplane. It wasn't with the Army, so like I did, it's not a big deal that I did that.
Still jumped out of an airplane.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
No, I appreciate all the hard work of our deputies and our fire chief. I see our deputies out there. I see them do the traffic stops, and I appreciate it because we're going to keep on doing what we can to drive down the traffic offenses in our city. So thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to the discussion about the public safety ad hoc, or public safety becoming a standing and kind of a little more structure. I think it's a good thing for our city to evolve into that. So.
All right, well, thank you. Now it's my turn. We are a management city, right? Mainly,
We're a contract city.
Contract
Mr.
city,
Mayor.
that's what I'm trying to say. So, I'd kind of like to see maybe an RFP on some of the contracts that we have right now, like Charles Abbott, and a few of the other, maybe just kind of see what we have out there that I know that they've probably been here a long time, and maybe there's something better or less expensive, and
Okay, Mayor, Council, we can look into that on the building and safety contract, and then we'll look at some other older ones that, and then bring them back for you for consideration and send out for RFPs.
okay, that's perfect. I did too go to the 7-Eleven ribbon cutting. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty good. So I know I missed the last few meetings with the youth advisory, and I was out of state last week, and so I didn't get a chance to get to a lot of the different committees and commissions. So, but I'm back now, and I'll be back there. So,
Go ahead.
but thank you for that. I'd like to see where we can save a little bit more money here. So,
Ben, he's not paying attention. Ben, layman's terms, that's what I was trying to think of, you know? I know.
Yep, so I know that we do have, in May, we have a festival coming up, the Music and Arts that we have coming up, so, and then we have a magic show, I think, somewhere, real soon. This weekend? Huh. So, anyways, well, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see. City Manager, do you have any announcements?
I have one announcement. I just wanted to announce that we have a vacancy on our Yucaipa Planning Commission, so if anyone's interested, please submit your applications. We have it posted at the city clerk's office, and contact Anna if you're interested in serving on that, the Planning Commission.
So that was yours. Now, are you going to be able to?
I'm not gonna apply for it.
No? Why not?
Is that what you mean? I've, man, my phone has been literally blowing up from people in the community calling me to express interest in the position, and certainly there's a lot I've learned over the last 5 years about the importance of that planning commission member spot. The commission does a lot for our community, and truly are was the pseudo legislative body that literally hears public hearings and hears these matters that it's not to be taken lightly. So certainly, if you're interested, research it, understand what you're getting yourself into, be informed, and know that there's what you want for the community, and then there's the laws that have to be followed relative to building that sometimes conflict. And we find that up here, and people come up and say, you need to not let this happen, and we hear from our staff, there's nothing we can do that's legally authorized. So some people have a hard time with that. I've had a commissioner that voted no, but had no backing for it aside from, I just don't like it. Well, yeah, but you're not allowed, you have to have some kind of a basis for why it is not allowed in our community. It's not just because of your own passion on the matter. A noble that you are passionate about our hometown, and so am I, but unfortunately, we live in the People's Republic of California, and California dictates to us all manner of silly laws that we have to follow. So if you're interested, by all means, put in your interest application, and when do you think we'll hear that item?
We can probably bring that forward at the same time that we do the commission's committees item, unless council would prefer to hear that at the next meeting. We have received, I believe, a total of 4 applications so far.
I think a full month is fine. So March 23rd, I think, would be an appropriate meeting to field that item. I don't see any need to rush it at this point, unless staff says we're entertaining some big plans for planning commission that we need to get addressed, and we need to have a full commission. No, all right, March 23rd, please.
Perfect, I can add that to your item.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Anything?
No, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to touch on Deputy Mayor Beaver's comments. The Planning Commission is probably one of the single most important commission there is, because they have land use controls, and that's why the state of California is trying to take it away.
Just for the record, real quick, Miss Megan, we did have one we did have one young man on the Park and Recreation. We did, that was, O'Connell's. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the grandson, the oldest grandson. So anyways, pardon?
It's vacant now.
It is vacant, so.
Okay,
anyways.
after Dr. Moore's comment on the Planning Commission, could we move that instead of the end of March, move it up to the first meeting in March?
I'd feel more comfortable getting more applicants. I don't want to rush it. I'd rather have it a full month, at least 30 days. It just became vacant this week, so I think affording our community ample time to consider it, and I don't think it should be a rushed knee-jerk reaction. It's an important one.
All right. The next regular meeting is scheduled for March 9th, 2026, at 6 p.m. And I'll call for adjournment. Thank you for coming.